it's Angel Vane, and this is episode 38 of my author's diary. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about something that I really don't like, and that's debating. Why debate? I don't know why people love to debate. So I'm going to tell you right now that I hate debating an issue. When I get into a situation where there's a debate that's starting to happen, I feel like internally like we're having an argument. And that whole fight or flight, I'm like, shh, let me out of here. That's how I feel, because I get no enjoyment from debating with people, especially when we're so far apart on our views on a particular topic. So I'm going to tell you about two situations that happened to me recently. One is writing related and one is non-writing related. So the first one, I was on this date with this guy, and he was a nice gentleman, and for some strange reason he decided to bring up a political topic. Now, there are lots of things that you shouldn't really talk about, especially when you don't know somebody that well. So he made this kind of inflammatory statement that was politically motivated, and I was just like, because I completely disagreed with his statement. And so he started saying his arguments, and I started combating them because, I'm kind of a smart girl. Like I know a little bit, right? And so I could see the glee and the joy starting to come into his face and in his demeanor as he realized I have somebody who I can debate with. And while he was getting excited and energized by the conversation, I started to withdraw and started to feel bad and like, what? I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to deal with this, because in my head, we weren't ever going to agree. So why in the world would I want to waste minutes and hours out of my life debating something that we're never going to agree about? So that's the first situation. Then the second situation relates to the video that I did last week. I was talking about how I didn't believe that writer's block actually existed. Well, a fellow author of mine struck up a conversation with me because she actually believes that writer's block does exist. And so we started talking about her perspective on it, then I shared my perspective on it, and then she could understand my perspective, but she just disagreed. And then I listened to a little bit more of her perspective, and I was like, okay, well, I understand your perspective. I still don't agree. I still believe. And I was just, kind of laying out what I thought about writer's block, and she was laying out what she thought about writer's block. And it's happened again. I could hear with each additional example that she started to give in the conversation that she was getting energized and she was excited about continuing this discussion. And all of a sudden I'm like, no, because I'm starting to feel like I don't want to talk about this no more. Like, we're not going to agree. Why do I have to spend my time talking about this with you? And with further examples. And then what about this? And then I had, then I felt the need to okay, well, how would I combat this example? Okay, well, what's my view on that example? And it just started to be so exhausting and draining on me. And I got to the point where, because this other author and I, we're pretty close friends. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Stop this conversation. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I need to go and do other stuff. I just don't want to be engaged in this conversation anymore. And she was just kind of like, Angel, what's wrong with you? And I was just like, we don't agree. So why do we need to keep going on and on and on and on to bring up other examples and other situations and other items to talk about when we're still on opposite sides of this dynamic, right? And so then she kind of was like, okay, well, yeah, you go ahead and let's get off the phone and you can go on and do whatever you need to do. And I know she thought I was crazy. And so there are two situations where I found myself in a debating type of situation where, to me, internally, I kind of define it as an argument, internally. And the first one I withdrew. So I just became despondent, right? I just was like, okay, I'm just not engaging anymore. I'm not going to talk to this guy about this stuff. He can continue to run his mouth, because the more I combated his points with my own, the more energized he got and the more he wanted to talk about it. So I just started to shut down. And so eventually, the date kind of fizzled, and I was able to free myself from that conversation. And then in the second situation, that's my friend. And so I felt okay being like, blah, I don't want to talk about this no more. And so she forgives me, and she's still talking to me. But it just goes to show that I'm of the mindset that I'm all about understanding somebody else's perspective. But once we have shown that we understand each other's perspective and we don't agree, then what's the point of continuing to talk about it? Because I feel like really the only point to continue to talk about it is because you're trying to change my mind and you think that I'm trying to change yours, but I'm not. Because I'm comfortable with agreeing to disagree. And I don't know if everybody's comfortable with that. I think they believe that the more examples they give me and they keep talking about their perspective, that I'm just gonna be like, oh, well, now that you mentioned that point, I've completely changed my mind. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's like, that's not gonna happen. That's literally not gonna happen. So, I just wanted to do this video to talk about how I am comfortable with agreeing to disagree. You can think whatever you want to. I'm happy to listen to your perspective and understand your perspective. I'm comfortable with sharing my perspective and getting you to understand why I feel the way I feel, but you don't have to agree with me, and I feel like I don't have to agree with you. And I don't know why there's some people out there who seem to get energized by that, but I want those people to understand that, like, not everybody feels that way. And I'm one of the ones who don't. So probably I could have handled both of those situations a little bit better. And y'all might have some advice for me on how to get out of these debating type of conversations when I'm like, I just can't talk about this anymore. So if you do have some ideas for me on how to handle situations like that in the future, go ahead and drop me a comment down here and let me know what you think. Now, if you want to continue to keep up with me and all the ups and downs that I go through as I write and publish new books, click the subscribe button, then click that little silver bell so that you'll be alerted every time I get a video, and I will see you next time.